What's up, RBLR Nation? Hope y'all having a great week, great day, great evening. We are RBLR Bulls. I am one of your wonderful co-hosts, Mr. Carter Brantley, and we are excited to be back. It's been a little bit of a break recently, but we've got a lot of news to talk about. The basketball transfer portal has been active. It has been crazy for both men and women's. We've also got some baseball stuff to talk about. We've got softball, got track and field, women's lacrosse, last but not least, beach volleyball, tennis. Oh man, USF athletics is really cooking. We're sort of winding down towards the end of the spring season for some of these sports, but some still have some tournaments to go and whatnot. So we'll be talking about it all. But before we go any further, I got to introduce my wonderful co-host, Mr. Jonathan Shields. How are you doing today, my friend?
Great. It's great to be back with y'all, boys. It's been a crazy last month. I had to send you guys a picture of proof of life for me last week to show, because it's been a very hectic last month for me and really for all of us. But after we introduce Musab, I have a question for you guys after we talk to Musab in a second.
Okay, I love it. All right, well, we'll stay tuned for that then. But Mr. Musab Tariq, the wonderful puzzle piece that closes out this trio, how are you today, my friend?
So far, so good, man. A little bit on the edge now with Jonathan Shields' question.
I know.
Yeah, man. Hey, nothing but happy to be with y'all boys. But back to you, Jonathan. Go ahead.
Yeah, what you got?
So, we talked about that we wouldn't be doing much football coming into the show, but we would be remiss if we didn't talk about what Alex Golish just slid into a conversation when it had been early this week. And I want to ask if you guys, both of you, obviously very involved with USF athletics, if you agree with it, and I can give you guys my take, is USF a place that I will start this. Is USF a place that can win a national championship, and will it become a place that you can win a national championship at? And I will say in the two big sports, in basketball and football, we'll stay in the big sports.
Yeah, because I think there's genuinely a road for them to winning a championship in plenty of the other sports. We're going to talk about some track and field stuff, some tennis, and they've got some really interesting paths. But yeah, in terms of the big two, like basketball and football, not right now. It's just, we got to be realistic. We got to be real. Alex Golish wasn't incorrect in saying that, but to address his quote a little bit more directly, it was just it was very weird. It was very out of left field. It was kind of like, hey man, like what's up with that? Like first of all, just like leaving USF and then going to Auburn, cool, fine, whatever. But just firing shots is it's really unbecoming. And also there's the fact that he took like half of USF's roster with him to Auburn. So if he can't win a national championship at USF, then why are you taking so many players from the school? You know what I mean? It was just kind of really weird. I didn't really see where he was coming from there. It was just like, all right, man, like you got your money, you got paid at a big time school. You'll probably get fired within 3 to 4 years if you're just going by probabilities. So I don't know, man. It got me a little bit like off guard, because I was at least willing to, kind of wash your hands of it. Like, all right, Alex Golish is gone. Let's focus on Brian Hartline. But I don't know. It was really weird. It was really weird. And for him to like basically lie to everyone like the night before, the last night of the season, he was like, oh, I need some time to think about it. When he was asked directly about the new coach, the coaching rumors and whatnot. And then not even 10 hours later, he's in Auburn. And it was just like, oh, so you didn't need any time to think about it. You just, wanted to get the heck out of here. So just another pattern of kind of disrespect and dishonesty from a guy that, frankly, at this point, I'm kind of glad is gone. I don't know. It's really weird. It's really weird. I was really frustrated by that. But to answer your second question, after that little angry diatribe, I do think there is a very realistic path to USF being able to sort of contend for national championships every now and then. I mean, you saw it with Indiana. They've been in the Big Ten, but as a football school, I don't think there's any real. I don't think anyone would be honest if they said that winning a national championship was really in their realistic hopes and dreams. And yet now, they're cooking. They had an amazing season, obviously. So, USF could get into a bigger conference. They could continue to kind of build. There's definitely a chance. I don't know if I would say in the next 10 to 20 years, but, maybe give them a longer runway. And if they can get into that bigger conference, it's definitely a chance. As currently constructed, Alex Golish is right. But at the same time, like I said, just something that's really unnecessary and kind of weird to say. But Musab, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this after I've spoken for way too long.
No, I'm right there with you. I think I think the theme of my thoughts is, keeping it a buck. I think Alex Goles should have just kept it a buck with us and be like, "Hey guys, look, if some bigger opportunity does pop up, then I'm probably gonna take it or something." I mean, why would you not? So it's just kind of giving that false hope. That's not cool. Again, with the unnecessary comments. Yeah, he's not wrong, but I mean, I think we all know the answer. It's all about the money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Auburn has a ton more money, a much bigger budget with the NIL and all that. On top of that, yeah, they're in a much bigger, better conference. It's the SEC. So yeah, like you said, Carter, the first step is first of all, yeah, going up, to a better conference, making some noise. That's what Indiana did, man.
Yeah, for
You go
sure.
against all the big dogs, and especially towards the end, statement wins after statement wins. So that's how you do it. So
Yeah. It's very much one of those, like one of those you don't have to say that, you know what I mean? And
yeah, no, but I mean, we have to be optimistic about how
yeah,
much USF has improved. I
right,
think
absolutely.
I have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
say
yeah.
USF football has to be one of the top programs up there who has if there was an award, I guess what I'm trying to say is they would be a good candidate for most improved player in the
For
last
sure.
couple of years or
Right.
something, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, they really changed things around. So
Yeah,
I would be optimistic, but it all just comes down to money in conference.
for sure. But how about you, Jonathan, to answer your own question, to throw that question right back at you? What were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I thought you guys gave great answers. I didn't watch the whole interview. Obviously, you see the clip. I wonder what the context was. I wonder if he went out of his way to kind of take a shot, which is always tricky when you just see the clickbait kind of culture that we
Sure, of
live in.
course.
I mean, but regardless, a lot of that's coach speak, because you're so focused on your team and your players, and it's unfair to your players if you say with 3 games left in the season that, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to Auburn, or I'm talking with Auburn in Florida. That's why it's handled like that. I'm not saying it's right, but it's the same thing with USF players. I'm sure a ton of USF players were
Yeah,
were
right.
being hit up to try and go.
For sure.
And unfortunately, it's just the world we live in right now.
Right.
And so I don't necessarily fault him for that. But at the end of the day, if it was kind of did it intentionally to be like, yeah, USF's not winning a national championship, it's kind of no duh. USF's not built to win a national championship right now. Now with the new stadium coming in and the revenue that's going to create the school. Now, what are you guys talking about? In 10, 15 years, that can become a real possibility. Be careful with the Indiana comparisons because Indiana was always in the Big Ten.
Right.
And USF, unfortunately, is
It's
not going to be in
not,
the Big Ten. But
right.
Yeah, no.
right when Indiana's football showed promise, they had donors at Indiana that made it happen. Mark Cuban is a donor at Indiana. Mark Cuban is worth multiple billions of dollars with a B. I'm not sure USF has any. I'm sure they have influential people.
They
I
have
don't know how
a
many.
bunch of rich donors. I'll tell you this because I can just speak on this because I have people who work at USF who are involved in the science research world. Man, we have a lot of money
Yeah,
in research, dude.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's just not sports are just not. I mean, they are becoming a little bit more of a priority, dude. But that's just where all of our money goes. Because, dude, we do. I mean, there are some families, man, who just.
Yeah.
They just donate a
Yeah.
crap ton of money, but it's for, I guess the important things.
Yeah,
in the grand scheme of things, it is the important stuff.
Yeah.
In terms of what's going to make the school a ton of money, it's football. Nothing brings in more than football. Now, USF is a great medical program. I'm not, don't have all those numbers in front of me and how it equates, but I have a hard time believing that USF's medical program is bringing them in $50 million in profit. But
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't know. They might, but I say it to say it's Indiana was more of a sleeping giant, if that makes sense. They were always there, but why would you donate to a team that goes 2-10 every year, right? I wouldn't do that either. Now, I think USF is maybe 15 years away. Again, whenever they get the revenue from this new stadium and everything starts going from that, and then whatever happens with the rev share, with the TV revenue and all that stuff. But again, we're not gonna bore you guys with that information. But I just thought it's interesting because it's kind of first of all, no duh, USF's not going to national championship next year. But it's what school outside of a Power Four, outside of Gonzaga in both basketball and football, has a legitimate chance to win a national championship next year? And it's none. It's none. And it should be, they should be aware of that and not to say it. the question should be is like, is USF the next Gonzaga, but in football and basketball? I don't even know what that equivalent is. And unfortunately, we've talked about this. USF's in a really tough spot because no conference is going to be expanding anytime soon. And it's brutal right now. It really is. We talked about it. USF was bad at the wrong time, and UCF was awful for years. And the one time they were relevant in the last 30 years, they were relevant at the right time, and they got picked up. So again, we can't kind of tell the future from 15 years from now. But if we're going to have this conversation in 10 years, it might be a different conversation in terms of just the money that USF might be able to provide his football program. Be like, look, here's $25 million to build a roster. Like, let's see what you can do with that. Because what the number is, like, LSU spent $40 million on the roster. USF's never going to spend $40 million. That's ridiculous money. But like, here's $20 million. Go build a roster that can make the 12-team playoff and be competitive and not just be like Tulane, who got ran over. But I just thought it was interesting and definitely wanted to hear you guys' takes on it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing it up because it's definitely something to talk about. It's definitely noteworthy. It's yeah, like you said, it's a very unfortunate part of college sports right now, just how gross everything feels. I mean, I'm sure there's always been aspects of this that's been under the table and just not so brazenly open about it. But yeah, it's definitely a lot more prevalent than it feels like it has been for a long time. And yeah, like you said, it's coaches and players. Like, as much as people complain about players leaving all the time, man, coaches are doing the same exact thing. I mean, we just saw it with Brian Hodgson. He was here a year and then left. So like, and it's cool, like, whatever, like, go do your thing. But at the same time, like, that's where we're at right now. So it's a brutal thing, but it is what it is. You can either sit and we can either sit and cry about it, or we can just keep it pushing. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough, but yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. We'll see if Golish has anything else to say, or I think the CEO, I almost said athletic director, which is a no-no now, but USF CEO kind of fired back at him a little bit.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so it's kind of silliness and kind of just stupid stuff. But yeah, I don't know, man. It was, even if I think, because it was in an article where he gave the quote, and it wasn't exactly out of context, but if you read the whole quote, it wasn't like necessarily him like just randomly saying, and USF, it wasn't like totally random. But at the same time, he also could have just not said it. Like, it was very much like he didn't need to say it, but it wasn't totally like, out of the blue or anything. I don't know. It was weird. I didn't love it. It was just kind of a strange thing to say, but
positive takeaways, though, is we're getting, for basketball and football, it's nice to see at least we get, we go against some of the top dogs. At least we have a chance. And same thing, we controlled our destiny to win the AAC and at least have the opportunity to be in the playoffs.
Right.
Now, how we would would probably get, ran over. But hey, so we still have some work to do. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, absolutely.
That's why. But
yeah, it's just tough with Golish because he didn't deliver that promise. Whereas Coach Hodgson, he certainly did. They were in the March Madness tournament. They really lost to a very good Louisville team. It happens. And I did not feel at all that USF, the men's basketball team, was a victim of their coach being distracted. Whereas the football team, like, obviously, like, I'm not saying it would have changed anything, but it's not a good look when the coach is being floated with rumors and then you go out and get absolutely trampled by Navy on the ground. It's just, it's a pretty nasty look, regardless of whether it played a factor or not. It just wasn't great. So yeah, man, I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep talking about it. We'll keep bringing it up, but yeah, some tough stuff, some tough conversations to have as USF fans. So, we'll see how it all plays out, but some good news, trying to get back to some positive stuff. A lot of transfer portal news, especially for the men's and women's basketball teams, really exclusively for the men's and women's basketball teams. But we'll start with the men's team because they had some really interesting ones. We'll kind of just go through a list of the higher named transfer portal guys, as well as a few high school guys. I think just one we have on this list here, but Chris Davis Jr. specifically, he came over with Coach Mack from College of Charleston. So he already has kind of an established relationship. He's a 3-point shooter. He's 6'4", shot almost 40% from three as a freshman. So that was really fun. Mike James, he's a transfer, but this one from Vanderbilt via Louisville and NC State. He's also a guard, 6'5". He was a 4-star out of Orlando. Back in 2021, he was Florida's Class 7A Player of the Year. But he has had some real nasty luck, a torn Achilles and a knee infection requiring surgery. But he's a veteran. He's got 756 career points when he's healthy. So some really fun guards there. And then Zayden High, big man out of UNC. He was a top 100 recruit in the 2023 class, just wasn't getting enough playing time at North Carolina. And then Richard Goods, he's a high schooler, another big man, 6'9" as well. So he's going to be really interesting. Maybe he can be the Gavin Hightower, but for big men. Are there any other guys that kind of stood out to you, Mr. Treek, in this list of transfer portal guys?
Yeah, man, I'll probably go with Garrett Johnson. He's a transfer from George Washington University, small forward. He averaged 11.4 points, was about 40% shooting at GW, and then fortunately came down with a torn ACL that kind of wiped out the rest of his 2024-25 season. But he's had a pretty legendary story. He dealt with a hip tumor and multiple injuries, but he's a fighter, man. And when he's healthy, dude, he's a baller. So that's really exciting to see. And then on top of that, I wanted to go with Andre Shoshke from Stony Brook. He's again just another, I think he's going to be a really good role player. Shot 50, 45, 96 splits last season. He's the 12th player in D1 history to hit that kind of 50-40 threshold for a full year. That was pretty neat. He was also, the Colonial Athletic Association all-rookie team. So he's got that, elite shooting efficiency. So that's against maybe he's going to be our new Joseph Pinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think he's got the most fun potential upside as with those shooting numbers, man. 50, 40, 90 club is really impressive at any level. And then Sonny Wilson, we kind of saved maybe potentially the best for last, frankly. He was the second team all MAC conference player last year at Toledo, point guard, 6'1", 17 points, 4.5 assists per game last year. He was outstanding. Dayton and Wisconsin were also after him, and yet he chose USF. So some really fun stuff. Johnny, after listening to us kind of ramble on and list those prospects, what are your thoughts on the transfer portal so far, whether it's USF or maybe some guys that they maybe narrowly missed out on? How do you put together a team kind of that literally has no returning players? Like, what are your thoughts on USF's journey to building back up this men's basketball team?
I mean, it's a great question because you're right. They literally starting from zero.
Right.
And I don't know what their NIL budget is. Unfortunately, that's how a lot of this stuff is kind of produced. Or maybe, maybe not, unfortunately. For example, Florida got back Thomas Houck from the draft, and maybe you could say that's one of the benefits of NIL. But for mid-majors like USF, it's pretty brutal. So, like, let's say USF has a $3 million budget, right? I bet you the Sonny Wilson, I bet you he got near $1 million. Like, I bet you he's an $800,000 player, just for example. So I think he did a pretty good job. Unless you're like the guys that they brought in last year with Ennis and Pinion and all that stuff who ended up being super impactful, it's hard to win in year one in a transition year at a mid-major. Now, if you're at UNC and you have $20 million to spend, it's a little bit different. But in terms of being able to win early here, it's tough because you got to build the foundation. And you got to prove again that, like, they won last year, but right now it doesn't really matter that USF won last year because nobody that was a part of that program is here anymore, as terrible as that is. But I think they did a pretty good job. I'd like to see them add a little bit more size in the portal. But, I mean, to trying to get a center out of the portal, it's like it's $1.5 million. It is. It's crazy what the centers are going for in the portal right now. But I think there's some value here, especially the guy from UNC, the high guy from UNC. Some potential value right there. Like, you don't get to North Carolina by accident. You know what I mean? Like, and we see all the time these guys that are those high major bounce backs that average 5 points at a high major and then come into their mid major and average 15. Right. So Chris Mack is a really good coach. I mean, look, anyone that brings Xavier to being a 1 seed, you have my respect. Now it's a new era and all that stuff. But in terms of the stuff he runs and his culture he can build, I'm here for it. But don't expect USF to go, they go like 27-5 last year or something crazy, maybe a little bit back to earth. But with all that being said, I mean, this is still a team that should be in the top 4 of the American, like this isn't something where they fall back to being ninth or wherever they were last year? Because they went like first and then they were like ninth last year and then first again this year, whatever it was. I expect more toward the last 2 of the last 3 years than the one in the middle.
Yeah, yeah, I would hopefully expect that as well because, like you said, Coach Mack did a really good job at Xavier, and he did a pretty decent job at College of Charleston. But and he even got Louisville to #1 when he was coaching there. So there's certainly a track record there, and yeah, I'm really excited about, like you said, High has the probably some of the most upside just as a former top 100 recruit. That's really really cool. Sonny Wilson's really fun to watch. I watched some of his tape, and he's a little bit undersized, like he's only 6'1", so he's kind of he's certainly not jumping out of the gym or anything, but he's got all these floaters and he can shoot it from deep as well. So he's a really fun player. I really like Sonny Wilson. I think he'll be one of the more fun guys to watch out of this group. But yeah, we'll have to see how it holds up. And the men's basketball, man, they got off to a pretty good start with the transfer portal. Excited to see how these guys can do in the green and gold. But shifting our focus to another team that's having to bring in a new coach into the fold, having to bring in some new players as well. Some really cool stuff though from the women's basketball team. Mr. Musab Tariq, who are some highlights from the transfer portal for the women's team so far?
Yeah, man. First off, we got Kendall Pourier. She's from Purdue, forward, stands at 6'3". So real nice to get that height. Big Ten forward. She averaged at 6.5 points, 3 rebounds in 30 games at Purdue last season. Shoots about 54% from the field for her career. Had an 18-point game against Wisconsin. She was a McDonald's All-American nominee coming out of high school. And has 2 years of eligibility left with Christy Curry, who actually coached at Purdue. So there is some familiarity. And then next up, we also got Mallory Collier. This is the transfer from North Carolina State. Again, we got some height here, 6'3". Got that paint presence. Shoots about 59% from the field. Was part of 3 straight NCAA tournament teams at NC State. So she knows how to win. And on top of that, she does have 1 year of eligibility left. So, but I think the size and experiences, I think that's real nice to have. And then I wanted to go over Kate Novick. She's a transfer from DePaul. She was named All Big East second team last season, leading DePaul both in scoring, 12 points per game, and assists. So, we just got a team leading scorer and passer. That was pretty neat. She was the only player on DePaul averaging double figures. Okay, so hey, who was Miss Double last season? Carla Brito. So maybe we found our Carla Brito here.
That's right.
Almost about the same size too. Anyways, hit her. She's hit 1,000 career points. Had a triple double one game. Played a little bit at Morehead State and DePaul, so she has 1 year left. And last but not least, this one was pretty hyped just because the being a Florida native. Hannah Cohn, she's a transfer from Clemson, coming back home after 2 years at Clemson. 37% 3-point shooter, 190 made threes, so she's a perimeter weapon. Been a couple NCAA tournaments between her time at Chattanooga and Clemson, so she's got 1 year left on eligibility, but I think it's nice to know we got a sharp shooter under Christy Curry. So yeah, those are the names that I've seen so far with the transfer portal. But again, kind of wanted to go back to you on this, Jonathan. Well, first off, we don't see any. I haven't seen any high school commits. I mean, obviously, we're looking at this transfer portal, but on top of that. Dude, we're getting some real good talent here. I guess people who've proven themselves in past institutions. I don't know. I guess I want to ask you. Where does how does the familiarity and then also the experience kind of come into the equation, Jonathan? Because to be honest, I actually have to check. I mean, how many returners we're also having. From the USF women's basketball team as well. I should have looked that up beforehand, but There is, I guess what I'm trying to ask is I think there's going to be a little bit more returner vibes on the women's basketball team. So,
Right.
how does that kind of play into effect with kind of this fresh start? Transfer portal now is bigger than ever, and you got a new head coach with Christy Curry. So, I mean, some of these gals, may have been exposed to Jose Fernandez, then a little bit of, Michelle Brown Baxter.
Yeah, Coach Baxter.
Yeah, Coach Baxter. Maybe I should just say that. Coach Baxter, now Coach Curry. So
Yeah, there's whenever you bring in people from the portal, it's like projecting, it's projecting how they're going to go on your team. And obviously, when you have somebody with more proven production, you don't have to project as much. Especially, DePaul, the Big East, at least in men's. I'm not an expert Big East women's basketball guy, but I assume it's somewhat equal to the American, right? So you get someone that averages over 11 points per game in the Big East, you'd assume that she could do that with USF. So, again, USF was a team that played a super tough non-conference schedule for the women. I mean, incredibly tough, about as tough as you can get. And that's because they've been nationally relevant for a little bit now. So they're a destination. They are. But in terms of the roster building and, how returners play into that, the more production that you have coming in, the easier it is to project. And another thing that I like about the transfers is 2 of the transfers has multiple years of eligibility. So it's not just 1 year mercenaries, you get them for 2 years. Hopefully they can develop. And then, you kind of go from there. And because, again, in this era at these mid-majors, it's super tough to build a winner in year one. And if you can, it's extra kudos to you. That means all your projections hit and your portal evaluations were fantastic. Not every portal evaluation is going to hit. It is what it is. You see it on every level. Ada Mahaney was a guy 2 years ago who was like the top point guard in the portal, went to UConn, and by March he was barely playing. And he's a guy that was first team all conference at St. Mary's, which, St. Mary's always in the tournament, 16-6, and for some reason he's been projected Dan Hurley's system. That's the risk you take with the transfer portal. So it's interesting to see USF not going super heavy into the portal, only bringing in 4 girls. So I'll be interested to see what their projections are for them, because everyone they brought in was older. You're talking about, we're not talking people that have 3 years, 4 years of eligibility. It's 2 years, 1 year of eligibility. So again, it's going to be really interesting to see how this roster kind of turns out in terms of kind of what they project going into it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's always kind of a delicate balance to walk. You want some semblance of familiarity, but you also want to continue to add talent, continue to push, because the USF women's team didn't win the conference last year, so they didn't have the season that I'm sure that they were hoping that they would have. So, you want to bring in some fresh blood, bring in some new folks to hopefully bolster that talent and upgrade their ceiling a little bit, especially with Christy Curry, the new coach, who a lot of people are really excited about, and rightfully so. She's got quite a pedigree. She's got quite a resume. So, you want to kind of match that energy and be able to really give her a roster that she can compete with at the American, not only for the conference championship, but potentially for maybe a sneaky March Madness bid. So that would be really cool. So Jonathan, I know you got head out. We appreciate you tuning in and giving us your thoughts on the football side, especially with men's and women's basketball. So we'll see you next week, though, brother, and safe travels with your high school team or your travel.
AAU big tournament this weekend, but
I
appreciate you guys.
Good luck, man.
Good seeing you guys, and we'll talk next week. See you guys later.
All right, take care, Jonathan.
Yes, sir. That's Mr. Jonathan. And so now we're shifting our focus to baseball. The baseball team had a heck of a week this past week. Caden Smith, especially a sophomore transfer from TCU. He wins American Conference Pitcher of the Week. He threw 7 innings, allowing just 2 hits and 3 walks versus UAB. It was the longest start of his career and his first quality start this season. The performance helped USF avoid a sweep in the Birmingham series. They won Game 3, 1-0. So the Sunday starter spot, though, has been unsettled all season, and Smith may have locked it up. For those unfamiliar, that Sunday starter spot is sort of that almost that ace, sort of the guy who can kind of close it out. So USF sits 5th in the American Conference at the halfway point of conference play. But luckily, USF also beat Stetson on the road 6-5. They went to DeLand. And so now they're 2-0 against the Hatters this year. DeLand is no joke. Like they excuse me, they may not be LSU or South Carolina or some of these big time programs, but they're pretty darn good. And Joey Brenczewski, or Brenczewski, I don't know, had a big 2 RBI single. Sorry, Joey. That's a great last name, but unfortunately, I'm not equipped to pronounce it. But he had a big 2 RBI single in the 5th to push the league back to 6-4 after Stetson cut into it a little bit. Dominic Pontra-Bryant, he picked up the win. He's now 3-0 on the year. Ethan Sutton came in to slam the door, got his ninth save of the season. Lance Triple also extended his reached on-base streak to 24 games. So that's pretty cool. And Edwin Alicia, he also started coming out of the pen. He was used out of the pen against Stetson. He was also the Friday starter. So it was interesting to see their pitching staff sort of get shuffled around. Now they're heading to Greenville to face ECU. For those unfamiliar, the Pirates knocked the Bulls out of the conference tournament last year. So a little bit of revenge, hopefully. Just as a kind of a overall look at USF seasons so far, they're 27-12 overall, 7-8 in conference play. That brings them to 5th in the American. ECU is just 36-19 all time in the series against USF, and USF only 6-12 on the road in Greenville. So historically, USF has struggled in this matchup. But the good news, USF won the regular season's series versus ECU last year before they lost to them in the tournament. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Some other awards. Ethan Sutton, he has been fantastic. He is on the NCBWA midseason stopper of the year watch list because of those 9 saves. It's kind of going out to all the relievers. And it's been a really fun season for USF's baseball team overall. Obviously, the conference play hasn't gone the way that they would like, but some really fun stuff here. Any overall thoughts on the baseball team, Musab, or you just excited to see them?
No, man. I'll tell you this, man. Shout out to Caden Smith. Just nice to know that we got two dogs. I'm sure we got plenty of dog pitchers, but right. I mean, we know Michael Sine's the freshman stud, and now we got Caden Smith now cooking. So, and I know, always nice to see, some familiar names like Lance Triple as well. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see what they do, these next few games. But on top of that, though, I mean, our softball team's been cooking too.
Man. They had to take on ECU this past week. And they took down ECU 3-1 to close their series against them, and they are having an outstanding season. The baseball team's having a pretty good year. Softball's team having an outstanding year. They're 33-15 and 15-6 in conference play. Kathy Garcia Soto was the star of this game. She scored twice, including a go-ahead run in the 8th. Alexa Galliani had the big hit, a double down the right field line. She was the one that drove Kathy Garcia Soto in to break that tie in the 8th. Ann Long also threw a complete game, her 6th straight of the season. And it was really impressive stuff from her. She's 14-5. That's her win-loss record now. And Olivia Elliott has a little on-base streak of her own, extended it to 14 straight games. And so now USF is in sole possession of the American Conference first place after the win. And they went to FGCU and they shut them down 9-0 on a one-hitter. Carly Ernst threw a complete game, and USF run-ruled FGCU in 5 innings. It was fantastic. And USF made NCAA history by having 3 sets of sisters play in the same game at the same time. The Galliani sisters, the Wilkes sisters, and the DeWater sisters. They all appeared in one game. That's pretty darn cool, man. I thought that was one of the nicer nuggets of this season so far. Obviously, the softball team having a great season, so it's kind of a fun little story as well. But Kylie Stroud also stole home in the 3rd innings. That's kind of a fun little tidbit. That was part of a big 4-run 3rd inning for the Bulls. And Olivia Elliott continuing to just get on base at a high clip, 15 straight games. When USF holds opponents to 2 or fewer runs, or fewer than 2 runs, they are 24-3. When the ladies do their job on defense, it's hard to stop them. So now they are headed to UAB for a final road series preview. And we'll get into it a little bit. UAB are, really interesting team, but USF and Wichita State are sort of the big dogs of the softball world for the American Conference. They are now tied for first after that series at 15-6, along with Wichita State. But Ann Long, man, she is just nails on the mound. She is shoving at a very high rate, 1.55 ERA, which is 14th in the country. USF leads the conference in ERA, shutouts, and WHIP as a pitching staff, so they are doing their job in in that pitching circle. And the Bulls lead the nation with sacrifice bunts. They're playing the small ball game, and they have the best fielding percentage in the conference. Just defensively, they are nails. They are really, really good. But luckily, USF leads the all-time series versus UAB 19-12. They've also won the last 2 matchups. So should be a good weekend. USF softball team, man. I mean, it's every year with Coach Erickson. He's one of the best coaches in the American Conference, perhaps really even in the country, frankly. He does his thing over there with the softball team, and it's just another great year for them. Really, nothing else to say. But I know the beach volleyball team had an interesting little outing at the Gulf Front Invitational and the Conference USA Championship, right? So what did they do at the Gulf Front Invitational, Mr. Shriek?
Yes, sir. Yeah, USF split their 2 matches. It was on senior day. First, they lost to the number 5 ranked FSU 5-0, but then they beat Mercer 4-1. Yeah, total shutout against FSU. Yeah, Seminoles won, on all 5 courts, but against Mercer, though, Julia Panko and Cornelia Crudu, they clinched it on court 1 with a 22-20 win, then it was 21-13. But then USF swept both meetings, has swept both meetings against Mercer this season. So, yeah, conference championship is happening now. It's in Youngsville, Louisiana, at the at Sugar Beach is what they call it. So, yeah, man, honestly, I didn't know any of this existed, but hey, man, might have to take a little RBLR Bulls road trip over there to Sugar Beach. Sounds
Hey,
cool.
it's Lafayette Parish. I'm sure I've got some family members out there.
Oh, snap. Okay. We'll stay with your family then.
Yeah. Stay with the folks. Have a little
All
vacation.
Right. Oh, yeah. Tell them all about Julia Panko and Cornelia Crudu.
Hey.
All right. Well,
right.
So yeah, conference championship is in action. USF opened the conference USA championship. They stand at the number 4 seed. They went 1-1. They lost to the number 5 Tulane 3-1 in the first match, which dropped into the elimination bracket. So Kate Stewart and Ariana Medchill were the only pair to win a point again in the Tulane loss. But we beat number 8 Tarleton State 3-0 to stay alive, winning all 3 courts. In straight sets. So this win gave USF their first ever conference tournament win in program history. They also pushed the Bulls. The sweep pushed the Bulls to 20 wins on the season. Kind of a big milestone for a first-year program. So the good news is they continued on with Missouri State, who they beat, and currently they are playing Florida Atlantic University as we speak. Don't have an update on that, but it started at 5 o'clock, so it should be wrapping up soon. But I imagine it's still not too late to tune in.
That's right.
I think,
I had to tune into this show and find out.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's all though for the beach volleyball. Curious to see what happens. I didn't really look too much into it, but this elimination bracket's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it should be really interesting to watch how that tournament plays out. Man, who would have figured? Traveling down to Youngsville, Louisiana for the Conference USA Championship.
Yeah, I'm checking it. Oh, okay. I think it's like UTEP's like home field.
Really?
That's what it is. Yeah. Anyway,
wow. Cool. Okay, they go all the way out there. That's fascinating. Well, cool stuff, man. We'll see how it goes, and we'll let y'all know how they do against those Owls in this tournament, and hopefully they're able to take home some nice hardware, a nice little finish to that tournament. But shifting our gears to the women's lacrosse program, because they had an excellent week. They took down ECU 17-4. I guess USF Athletics is just going against ECU a lot this week, but they demolished them. It was senior day, and it clinched them a share of the American Conference regular season title. They jumped out to a 9-0 lead in the first quarter, and it just wasn't really close after that. Some key highlights: Caitlin Tartaglione scored 2 goals in the first 60 seconds, and she ended up with a hat trick for the game. Maggie Newton had a game high 6 points. 50-50 split of 3 goals and 3 assists. And then Sophia Chepnik also had 3 goals. So just a lot of love to spread for the USF women's lacrosse team, because, man, they had a dominant performance. They won 19 of 23 draw controls, and they outshot ECU 42-26. I mean, doesn't get much more dominant than that. So they also locked up the number 1 seed in the American Conference tournament. So that's really cool. And they're only the second program in D1 women's lacrosse history to win a conference title within their first 2 seasons, joining those darn Gators. So some really cool stuff there for the USF women's lacrosse team. And now they're headed to Vanderbilt for a regular season finale. That'll be on ESPN Plus. It is tomorrow at 1 p.m. It's going to close out the regular season. A win would give USF the outright American Conference title and a perfect 6-0 conference record, man. It would be historically unprecedented, except for that Florida team in 2011. And USF beat Vanderbilt last season 17-7. So, yeah, it's looking pretty good. Vanderbilt's coming into the season 8-8 overall. They just lost to James Madison 14-9. So it should be it's a very winnable game. Some big performances coming into the game. Overall for the season, Sophia Chepnik leads the offense with 53 points, and Maggie Newton has 31 assists. They rank top 20 nationally in scoring offense, shots per game, and scoring margins. That's some impressive stuff, man. I don't know. The women's lacrosse team, it's in its infancy. You know, it's a very young program. It's only second year, but they are coming out strong, man. They are coming out.
If you think about it, Carter, dude, I'm just, now that I think about it, just constantly we're just, hyping up these different athletic programs as well. And, I was talking to, Jonathan earlier about, the research and academics and all that mumbo jumbo. And I'm just thinking, dude, I think we're kind of like a jack of all trades school, dude. We really are. Like, hey, man, we may not be the best in one like field, but dude, we're cooking all around.
Absolutely.
How can you hate us? Yeah.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. A jack of all trades type of thing for sure. And yeah, man, I'm really excited to see how the women's team does in the tournament. Obviously, getting the 1 seed is huge, but yeah, if they can close things out against Vanderbilt and clinch just an outright American Conference title, that'd be really cool. Because then they join, the men's basketball team also won it. The softball team is hot in contention for their conference title as well. So, it's going to be a pretty big season for the USF athletic department, and the women's lacrosse team, men's basketball and softball really leading the way, leading the charge here. So really cool stuff, man. But the tennis team, they had a heck of a game as well. They were in the American Conference tournament this weekend, right? Is that right, Musab?
Yes, they were. Yeah, the American Athletic Conference championships have begun for men's and women's tennis. Yeah, men's team, they swept the number 4 Wichita State 4-0 in the quarterfinals. And USF was standing at number 5. It was the 4 versus 5 battle. So yeah, they got the doubles point on courts 2 and 3. Hugo Carr leading the way in the singles with a dominant straight set win, and then Toto Giannis and Stepan Mruzek, they also won their singles matches. So the next opponent the next opponent they face were the Rice Owls, the number 1 seed Rice Owls. Yeah. Who they lost to earlier this season, and unfortunately they lost again in the semifinals 4-1. So wasn't a complete shutout. The Rice did get the doubles point. Gugi Verdes was this lone singles winner. He beat his opponent 6-3, 6-3. But yeah, Toto Giannis, he pushed his match to 3 sets. And then Hugo Carr, his match actually went unfinished before Rice clinched the win. So yeah, the Bulls men's tennis team, they finished their season in the AAC semifinals, and we'll see if they get that NCAA tournament bid. That's TBD for to be honest. I don't know how exactly how it works. I don't think it's anything like the basketball. How they classify with the basketball again?
Net rating, yeah.
No. With the kind of opponents you have, it's like the quads. Yeah, man. Quads. Those damn quads, man.
Those dang quads.
Yeah. I don't think there's quads. I don't think there's no RAS score or anything like that in tennis. I think I really hate to say it, but I doubt we go as a team. Yeah, maybe Hugo Carr maybe sneaks in as a singles. Sure. They do that with some of these individual sports. I know they do that for track and cross country. So perhaps that's the case. So
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but hey, they ended it on a positive note. Losing to the number 1 seed is never something to sneeze at. That's how it
But
is
then
sometimes.
again, like,
Um,
Jonathan would say, "Man, we lost to food," so then again, it
yeah,
stinks a
maybe
little.
that's tough. But hey, man,
Yeah,
Rice is pretty good in some other sports. I mean, they have historically a pretty good baseball team. So you don't want to lose to food for sure, but it's not always necessarily something to poo poo over. But I wanted to talk about the women's team before we shift our focus to track and field and listen to Mr. Musab's Tariq's insight on track and field, because I know that's why I showed up. I mean, Mr. Tariq is the track and field guy, so excited to hear his thoughts. But I wanted to give the women's tennis team their proper due because they did take down FAU in the AAC tournament first round, 4-2, and FAU was the 5 seed. They won the doubles point with tight 7-6 wins on both courts 2 and 3. Emily Drukarova, she was the first off the court in singles. She dominated 6-1, 6-1 with her victory. And then Sienna Leeson, she clinched the match at number 2 singles. She also was very good, 7-6, 6-2 in a clutch performance. And then they faced Tulsa. Unfortunately, Tulsa being the number 4 seed, they fell 4-2 in the quarterfinals. So that ended their conference tournament run and their season. Tulsa took the doubles points with wins on courts 1 and 3 to grab an early lead, and it was just too much for them to overcome. Josephine Falster and Francesca Miglio both won their singles matches, though. They made it close, and then Tulsa won 3 straight singles courts to close it out and send USF home. So despite the loss, USF they were really competitive, and they ended the season on a good note. I know losing, I'm sure they'll tell you like, oh, we should have won, blah, blah, blah. But they looked really competitive there. And to be able to go out on a high note, on a relatively high note like that, it was really important. So, yeah, the women's and the men's team, neither of them could take home any trophies or any hardware or anything out of the AAC tournaments, but it was still some good fights, especially what was a bit of a tumultuous season in some cases for both of these squads. But the track and field, man, they went to the Penn Relays, or no, they're heading to the Penn Relays. Is that right?
yep, headed to the Penn Relays. Yeah, the Penn Relays have begun. The Penn Relays is kind of like the Florida Relays race we were talking, the Pepsi Florida Relays race I was mentioning a few weeks ago. It involves high school, college, and they have even like professionals or like open, if you're really that good or something, and you're a couple years out of college, you can still, race the young lads. But that being said, though, yeah, man, USF is up in Philadelphia. It's a very, I'll probably say prestigious meet. I've actually seen the track. It's pretty cool, and it's just you don't really think of UPenn like in athletics or something. And even with track, it's not like they have like a legendary program, but it's really the facility. You know what I'm saying? It's just iconic. So that being said, yeah, they're going to compete in the Championship of America relay events, basically the best programs in the country. One of them being our 4x1 men's team, which is ranked number 1 in the AAC, 11th nationally, with a time of 38.97.
Wow.
So again, that's our 4x1 team at 38.97, 11th nationally, and we got Kelsey Singleton, Nathan Medalist in the crew. They got that 4x4 sitting third in the conference. So yeah, they're going to be going against the big dogs as well to see where they stand. But in the hurdles, Darian Mills and Joshua Crum, they hold 2 of the top 3 spots in the American 400-meter hurdles. So we'll see how they do. And yeah, it's like a late Thursday through Saturday kind of event. The relay finals are on Saturday afternoon. That's kind of going to be
Is that the big event?
The big events specifically, yeah, for college as well. I mean, I think they're already doing all the they've already done all the high. I just checked the schedule. They're already done the high school finals. They're doing some prelims right now with some of the like sprints, 4x4, 100-meter, 200-meter. So yeah, man, we'll just have to check up on them this weekend. And on top of that, for our listeners, yeah, let's see what's the good word we have to bring them. And I was going to say, Carter, I think they're also specifically our men's track team. Our women's, yeah, man, they always been a very stable, steady program. They've been making names for themselves, but yeah, the men's just have been just really standing out. Rightfully so. I mean, 11th nationally is crazy. So I was just gonna say Carter. I think they might be another team, that might be, clinching that American Athletic Conference trophy.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, man.
That's what's up. Yeah, man.
What a
Track and
time to
field.
be a Bull.
Heck yeah, heck of a time to be a Bull. Speaking of, we have a little bit of breaking news, quote unquote. I wanted to include just at the end of our episode here. Joshua Lewis from Ooh La La from Louisiana Lafayette. He is committed to South Florida. He was originally committed to South Florida coming out of high school, but he ended up at Louisiana last year. He averaged 8.1 points and around 4 boards last year. So it's really interesting. He was a 4-star recruit out of Tampa, so he's coming home. So another little, before the buzzer type of bit of news there for the men's basketball program. So that's kind of exciting, kind of cool.
Yeah, man.
We'll see how great. We'll see how he's able to contribute to the men's basketball team this season. USF also had a Stampede of Champions ceremony.
I was just gonna say, man. Speaking of contributions,
I know, yeah. So some big awards I wanted to highlight. Maria Clara Andrade, she was named Female Athlete of the Year. She led her team back to the NCAA tournament, so that was really cool for Maria. And
some of these names are going to give you some flashbacks.
I know, yeah. Isaiah Nelson, man.
It's been a while since you said these names, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Nelson took home Male Athlete of the Year honors, as well as being the Conference Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. And then Joseph Pinion was the Male Newcomer of the Year. He set a school record with 111 three-pointers. Yui Sweatsugu for women's soccer, she earned Female Newcomer of the Year for her strong performance as a starting midfielder. Greg Otten from the football team, he received the prestigious Leroy Selman Award. He served as one of the night's hosts. Christian Helms was given the Alexis Buckman Unsung Hero Award. And then Wilhelm Riding of men's golf, he took home the Most Improved Award after shooting a low round of 65 during the season. Really impressive stuff from him. Speaking of golf, Alice Webb, she was recognized with the Individual Community Award. And then Mario Hibbler from cross country and Mathis Haugen from men's soccer were the top academic performers with the female and male scholar awards. And there were some other hosts as well. Kathy Garcia Soto, the star softball player, she was one of the co-hosts, as well as Ayana Garvin from volleyball and Lola Huff-Nagel from beach volleyball. So some cool stuff, man. Just kind of a fun little bow to put on this episode.
That's neat, man. I don't think I've heard about this before. Maybe I don't know, man. Maybe it's a new thing or something, but I think that's pretty cool that they have a kind of a little banquet for all the athletes to kind of, the best of the best,
Yeah, I mean, I know graduate. I mean, final exams are not next week, but the week after. I only know this because of my job. But so USF's academic season is coming to a close. They're going to have graduations. So it makes sense, man. They're having a kind of a closing ceremonies of sort for their sports teams as well. So it's cool to see for sure. But any closing thoughts on the USF athletics department at large, or shall we say sayonara, Mr. True?
I think it's time to say sayonara, man. I just want to say thanks again to all the listeners. Appreciate you, Carter, as well.
Yeah.
Really enjoy talking, some USF athletics. And
absolutely.
I think that's the beauty about this podcast is, there's just always something going on. And it's so nice to see that, our teams are actually really good,
Yeah.
Just a whole lot of positivity. I know we started with a little bit of that Golesh negativity vibes, but hey, Golesh is Ganesh. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, Golesh is Ganesh. That might be the title of the
Ganesh.
episode.
Yeah, man.
Yes, no, it's been a really really tremendous year for a lot of the USF athletic department, and it's coming to a close. But that doesn't mean that we're coming to a close. We'll be back next week with another show. Give us a like or subscribe on your way out if you like what you heard. If you want to keep listening, some USF athletic stuff, we'd really appreciate it. You can also give us a follow at RBLR Sports or at RBLR Bulls. So from my wonderful co-host, Mr. Musab Tariq, and our excellent super producer, Mr. Eureka Wheeler, this is RBLR Bulls. And until next time, and as always, go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.